Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski, and on this podcast, I walk you through how to grow in your life and in your business. If you're a coach, trainer, or mentor and you want to make more money in your business, you're in the right spot. Now it's a new year, and I got a new message for you. I'm so excited to share this with you. You know, one of the biggest things that we can get caught up in is in the grind of building our business and doing all the things and planning and strategizing and doing all the practical aspects of it, is we lose sight of our vision and our belief. Do you have vision and belief in what you're doing in your business? When's the last time that you said, I believe that I can do it, even if your current reality, it seems impossible? Even if in the middle of your circumstance seems like it's never going to happen. You know, what you create in your life and you create in your business comes out of what you actually believe is possible. And so if you're struggling and you're saying, well, I need to make money, but you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, that becomes a hindrance to you from being able to successfully build a coaching business. No, and you'll end up striving and spinning your wheels and struggling to do the work because you're so focused on the everyday, you're so focused on the minutia, you're so focused on what do I have to do rather than going big picture and having a vision. Your vision is what's actually going to drive the actions, because you're going to have that vision written down. And that's why people do vision boards as well. When's the last time that you made some goals? When's the last time that you looked at and said, okay, I want my life to be like this 6 months from now. I want my life to be like this 3 months from now. I do that constantly. And every 3 to 6 months, I adjust and I change what I'm actually having a goal for. I tweak and I change what my vision is, because things start to move in different directions. They start to pivot. What are areas that I want to grow in my personal life? And then what happens is when you have a vision for the life that you're creating, see, not just a vision of how much money you're going to make, but I want you to have a vision for the life that you're going to experience, your everyday life that you're going to experience. I got a new baby on the way, and my life is going to be changing. I've been having vision for how that life is going to look, how I'm going to build my business, how I'm going to do everyday things. Things might look different than how I've done them. I'm not going to spend as much time perfecting everything, because truly, having a child, I don't have time to. I don't have the energy, the extra expendable energy to make things perfect, because I'm taking care of my son. I'm taking care of my wife. I'm taking care of my family. I'm taking care of my clients. And so that's one of the biggest things, is that when we have a vision, it helps us narrow in on what's essential, what's important, what actually is truly matters in the grand scheme of things, what actually truly moves the needle forward. It's actually a lot less than most people think it is. A lot of people think they need to do all this stuff, when really there's like one or two little things that you do that make all the difference in your life. But many times those 1 to 2 little things we're avoiding because it's painful, or because we're afraid of it not going a certain way, or we don't think that it's good enough. And so that's why, again, returning back to what is your vision? What is the vision that you have for the life that you're creating? Sitting with that vision. Not so that you get disappointed that you're not living it right now. See, that becomes the temptation, is we end up having vision, and then we maybe are disappointed that it's not the current life that we live, that the current reality that we're walking in doesn't look like that vision that we had. And this becomes disappointing. and we end up fighting and striving and working harder to make the thing happen, or we end up getting stuck because we don't know what path to take. We don't know what to do. Returning back to your vision is actually going to be one of the best things that you can do. Some of you might not have had vision in a long time because when you did, you got so disappointed that it didn't go that way that you actually subconsciously made a decision. I'm never going to have vision again. I'm never going to dream for the future again because I don't want to be disappointed again. I don't want it to go how it did last time. And we end up making these choices and decisions for our life, these long-term, big picture choices that are not going to help us, that aren't going to move us forward because we don't want to be disappointed. Truth is, life isn't always going to go how you envision it, but that's no reason to not have vision. Like, your vision is just a direction to kind of aim the needle, but without direction, you'll be spinning in circles, nowhere to go, have no guidance, no direction. You'll just be flip-flopping everywhere, struggling to experience the life that you want. And so I want to challenge you today to get a vision, to start dreaming for what is the life that you want to live. What is the life that you want to design? If you knew you couldn't fail, what would you do? What would you design? What would you change? And then I want to ask you, why is your life not like that right now? And this isn't to get guilty. This isn't for you to feel upset or disappointed. It's for you to identify, okay, what moves do I need to make now to start to make that happen? Because once we have a vision, we work backwards from that vision and we say, okay, what do I need to do in my life to make that a reality? Maybe you need to start writing your offer copy. Use ChatGPT or Jasper to map out your course. Maybe you need to start building your funnel. Start growing your email list. Run a virtual event. Get some people in front of you that you can sell your coaching program to. But what's the biggest thing that you're putting off that's stopping you from going after that vision? And write it down. And start to get really curious in your everyday life. Start to get really curious in your daily life as to what is standing in the way of you and that vision that you have. You can move any of those things. You can change any of those things. A lot of people give me these excuses of, well, I can't get rid of my kids, so now I can't build my vision. First off, that's called an extreme. And that's being really attached to throwing up your hands and saying, nothing's ever going to work out for me. It's always going to be this way. Your kids are a blessing, first off, and they should be a reason to motivate you to actually make more money, to motivate you to build a business, not as an excuse or a reason why you can't. So often we end up looking at our life situation saying, if only things were different than they really are, then I'd be successful. And that's a big lie. Because people with harder situations than you accomplish so much. This isn't for you to be critical or beat yourself up over, but it's a reality check. Any one of you can create the life you want. You can imagine, anything you can imagine can come true for you. Now you might need help, a community like our coaching community, like our Client Growth Accelerator community, a mentor like me. You can ask me questions if you get stuck along the way about your situation that you're going through. You might need to work with a therapist to heal those hurting areas inside of you, that disappointment. If we're so attached to how we wish things should be, how we think things should have gone, we'll miss the opportunities that are right in front of us to make the best with what we got. And that's what you got to do, is you got to make the best with what you got instead of trying to force exactly how you see it in your brain. See, having a vision isn't about you now forcing it to happen. The biggest reason why we avoid making a vision, why we avoid believing that we could do great things, is because we don't want to get disappointed, because we don't want to get let down. And so that's why when you set your intention, when you create a vision, when you see how you want your life to be, but then you do so with an open hand, detached. You let go of needing the outcome to go how you perfectly see it. I'll tell you this, it's never going to go exactly perfectly how you see it. It's just not. And so let's actually lay down that facade that if things don't go perfectly my way, then they're wrong, and realize that maybe how they did go was setting you up for something better. And then our vision changes and it morphs and it evolves, and we end up growing with our vision over time, and it turns more into what it really is supposed to be. This one thing right here will radically change your life, is when you start seeing yourself successful and you start believing that financial wealth and prosperity are possible for you, that you start believing that you're going to have a growing business, or whatever that vision is that you have, that your family is going to be taken care of, that your life is going to be peaceful and stress-free. But we start imagining this vision. I talk to people so often, they struggle to imagine anything, to have any imagination for just what's beyond right in front of them, because they've been beaten down by life so much, because they've been hurt by life so much. If that's the case, again, I feel for you. Let's not ever lose sight of vision. Let's not ever become so attached to one vision that we get upset, that our happiness is only tied to things going our way, and we actually learn to let go and surrender the outcome. And when I say I surrender the outcome to God, I surrender the outcome to Holy Spirit, and I say, God, if you got a better plan, show me that better plan. I want the best that you have for me. And what I might imagine might not be the best. And so I'll say, Lord, I want the best that you have for me. Not that God is gonna give me anything crappy, because he's not. God doesn't give us crappy stuff. He doesn't. Some of y'all, you might have teaching or theology that you've been taught that God gives us crappy stuff to teach us lessons, that God does crappy things in our life. But really, when it's something that we don't like, when there's no joy in it, it's actually because we're so attached to what we want that we're not accepting and saying, wow, everything that God gives me is good. Everything that God has presented and brings into my life is for incredible things to happen. That every single gift of God is a good thing. And we start walking in that. And listen, I get it. We lose loved ones. How could we find joy in that, right? How can we find joy in our grief and our sorrow? There's pain in the world. There's hard stuff that happens. There's terrible stuff that happens to people. But we can't lose sight of our vision. We can't let those things that happen to us now decide, well, because this happened, now I can't move forward in my vision. Because this happened, now I can't step into what God has for me. See, that's a choice that we end up making ourselves. That because this situation happened, now my life is ruined. Now everything in my life is terrible. And listen, we need to grieve. I'm not knocking grief at all. I want you to grieve. It's important to grieve. Grief doesn't have a timeline either. Grief doesn't have a time limit. you need to allow yourself to feel that pain. It's okay. It's okay to. And then realize that you're here in the present moment, still able to create your dreams, even if they might not look exactly how you imagined, even if they might not look exactly how you wanted. Sometimes we need to grieve the death of our dreams. Sometimes we need to grieve things that didn't go our way. Sometimes we need to have grief for, okay, I thought something was going to go this way and then it didn't. And so now what better thing is coming down the pipeline? For me, when I used to work with my mom, I had to grieve the vision of how I thought my life was going to go by working with her when I started my own business. I actually went kicking and screaming starting my own business because I really always thought that I was only going to do it with my mom, and I was so attached to that. And truthfully, it was the best thing that ever happened to me, but it was hard. It was painful. I thought my life was over. It felt like it was over. How I had imagined things to go. I was making almost $500,000 a year income that went to zero. No longer working with my mom. And yet it was the best thing that happened. And my wife and I now, we've made more in the last 5 months than we were in 2 years of working with my mom in our own business. And so it all started with what I'm telling you right now. It all started with having a vision, seeing something, sitting with the vision, changing the vision. That's one of the most important things is be willing to change the vision. If God's got a better plan, be willing to adjust it, be willing to tweak it. We end up being so caught up in how we think things should go when there's literally like something better. We end up striving for pennies when God has billions in store for us. And yet we end up being so attached to, well, I wanted my pennies because I imagined that I would have these pennies. And truthfully, like, God will let us just stick with our pennies. He will. Till we say, you know what? I surrender. I let go. I detach from what I want. The Lord, give me a vision. Give me a direction to head in. Direct my footsteps. Direct where I'm going. Direct where I'm walking. And I trust that it will all work out for good. When you walk in that, when you walk in accepting that things will all work out for good for you, when you start accepting that things will go well for you, that things will be just absolutely incredible. And listen, it does, like I'm not being weird here. It doesn't always go well for us. You're on planet Earth, right? I'm on planet Earth. Things don't always go perfect. They're not supposed to. But that's not a reason to not have vision and hope. And when you have the most hope, it allows you to design your life. It allows you to build and create whatever you and God, you're partnering with heaven to build. You're partnering with a bigger plan and a bigger vision than just what you can imagine. But start to sit with, start to write down, start to have a vision, start to imagine the life that you want. With an open hand, being detached, but then say, okay, now what do I need to do to start to bring that to pass? Trust me, it'll be revealed what you need to do. It's usually the scariest thing that you need to do, It's usually the hardest thing that you need to do, but it's worth it in the end. We got to stop trying to look for comfort in our life. We got to stop trying to look for, and I'm not talking about striving. Self-care is so important. Taking care of yourself is important. Resting is literally the fuel of success. Rest is the fuel of success. But we don't want to get stuck to where we're not doing anything because we're just in limbo and we feel like we have no direction. We feel like we have nowhere where we're going. And that's too often where people get, because things didn't go their way, or they got hurt, or a trauma happened, or something, a transition in their life. Working through transition, still building, still walking out the direction. I got a new baby on the way, but I'm still walking out the direction and the vision that grows my business. Because I know that that's the right path for right now in this season. And so for you, I want you to think about that. What's 1 to 2 things that maybe you know that you need to do to turn your vision into a reality? Your vision is not going to become a reality just by you sitting on the couch doing nothing. It's going to become a reality by you actually walking it out, by you actually putting one foot in front of the other, by you actually taking steps to see it start to come to pass. What's 1 to 2 steps that you need to do today, this week, that you've been putting off to start to see results? Listen, some of you, that next step for you to take is going to be joining my coaching program, joining my Client Growth Accelerator. If the doors aren't open right now, you can get on the waiting list by going to my website. Join the waiting list. When we open the doors back up again, we'd love to have you in there to help you. If you're a coach, if you're a mentor, if you're a trainer, to start to get more of those clients. Join one of the free events, one of the free trainings that we do. We do them every single month to help you grow your business, get more clients, build the nuances, build the foundations that actually create financial results. And so if that's you, again, this podcast is a great resource. Having a mentor like me in your corner to help guide you and direct you along the way is invaluable to you walking out the vision that you have for your life. Grow your life, everybody. We'll talk soon. Have a good one.